Here's Master Bun the baker's boy. Bertie Bun was born to be a baker. His dad was a baker, his mum was a baker, his grandpas and grandpas were bakers. His uncle was a boxer, but that's another story. When he was a baby, Bertie loved to play with the water and flour. And when he was a little boy, he loved to carry the bread. But when he grew older, things changed. One morning, Bertie Bun climbed out of bed, came down for breakfast and said, "I am browned off with bread and bored with baking." "Oh, don't say that," said Mr. Bun, and Mrs. Bun said, "Eat your toast." Later, Bertie went out to deliver the bread. On the way, he met Billy Bun, the butcher's boy. "I wish I was a butcher's boy," said Bertie. "Bread's boring." "Let's swap then," said Billy, and so they did. But this only led to trouble. Billy got lost with the bread, and a bad dog ran off with Bertie's sausages. The dog belonged to Mr. Creep the cook, but that's another story. Bertie came home for his lunch. "I am very browned off with bread," he said. "That's what you said this morning," said Mr. Bun. And Mrs. Bun said, "Eat your sandwiches." Then in the afternoon, Bertie delivered the bread he should have delivered this morning. On the way, he met Barry Brush, the barber's boy. "I wish I was a barber's boy," said Bertie. "Bread's boring." "Let's swap then," said Barry, and so they did. But this only led to more trouble. Barry fell in the river with the bread, and Mr. Brush gave Bertie a free haircut that he didn't really want. Bertie came home for his tea. "I am as browned off as ever with bread," he said. "You're bald as well," said Mr. Bun, and Mrs. Bun said, "Eat your bread and butter pudding." Later that evening, Bertie played football, had a bath, and went to bed. In the night, he dreamt he was a bus driver's boy, a band leader's boy, a balloonist's boy, a bank manager's boy, a bank robber's boy, a ballet dancer's boy, and a bishop's boy. He also had a bad dream about loaves with little legs, but that's another story. The next day, Bertie Bun was still browned off with bread, and the next day, and the next day, and the next. But the next day, Billy Bun came to tea. "I wish my mum was a baker. These sandwiches are good," he said. "I wish my mum was a baker. All I get is sausages." And Bertie thought about this. A few days later, Barry Brush came to tea. "This bread and jam is beautiful," he said. "I wish my dad was a baker. All I get is haircuts." And Bertie thought about this. And that evening, Bertie watched his mum and dad baking the bread. He felt the heat from the ovens, he smelled the hot bread smell in the air, and was not bored. The next morning, Bertie Bun climbed out of bed, came down for breakfast, and said, "Bread's not so bad." "Hooray," said Mr. Bun. "This son of ours is using his loaf." And more toast, please, said Bertie, and Mrs. Bun said, "Crumbs." Later, Bertie went out to deliver the bread. On the way, he met Billy Bun and Barry Brush and a performing dog. The dog belonged to Mr. Cosmo the conjurer. "I wish I was a conjurer's boy," said Bertie, and Billy said, but no. What Billy said and what Barry said and what Bertie did, we'll have to wait. There's no more room in the book, and besides, it really is another story.